All right, guys. Welcome to episode 1 of.
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
We have James Jeffers with us. So basically, what we're going to do on this series is hopefully we can do this as another recurring series on the YouTube channel of guys that we believe are approaching world level or are there already, and nobody knows who the hell they are.
Yeah.
I'm barely past that. I just got one invite and just rode with it, and that's how most of the guys get into the circuit. So hopefully some of these videos lead to that one invite that gets people into the circuit.
And for some that might know, even with yourself, obviously you were already strong before you got that invite, but you're kind of just lucky you got it. And there are so many guys who are as strong as you, or Jeffers in this case, who aren't that lucky. They don't get that call.
Yeah.
But hopefully this show illuminates more of that untapped talent. And people like, Jan Todd, Steve Slater, the Giants guys see this and we like, hey, Jeffers belongs at Worlds or basically any Giants live show.
Yeah.
And a myriad of other stuff. So that being said, hi, Jeffers. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I like the idea. I like the concept. And there's more than enough guys that are willing and able to step up to the opportunity if it comes.
Yeah, man. So that being said, we're basically just ask you kind of series of super basic stuff. We just want to get to know you. We want the general fan of Strongman to get to know people like you. So, I just want let's start super simple, man. Just tell us about yourself. Where did you grow up? What sports did you do growing up? What were your athletics like, if any? That sort of thing.
Okay. Well, I was a pretty active kid in high school, I guess, is where I did sports. I grew up
Where'd you go to high school?
A little small town called Bengoff, maybe 200 people in the whole town. So I graduated with 16 people.
16?
Yeah, very, very small. And the year before me was 4. So.
And you're from where in Canada again?
Saskatchewan. So kind of central Saskatchewan. It's always cold here, but I started there with team sports. I played basketball. I wasn't into hockey because I didn't learn how to skate till I was 16 years old because I grew up in Regina and then I moved eventually to Bengoff, the small town. So our sports were kind of limited. We didn't have a weight room. We didn't have strength sports really. There was no powerlifting. There was nothing like that. So in that sense, I was behind the ball because I didn't even touch weights until I was graduated.
Okay.
So kind of, you see guys that mostly in the States that are playing college football or whatever, they already have that foundation that I never really did. So I felt like I was behind the ball in that part. But growing up with brothers, everything was a competition. Chores was a competition. We grew up on a farm. So I get a lot of strength from there, I think.
Yeah. There's a lot of common traits between guys who grew up on farms and just brutal strength in strongman. There's a lot of dudes like that. Are you the youngest of your brothers? I'm
the middle. I have a older brother, younger brother, and then a younger sister.
Oh, so no one loved you. Okay, got it. So it sounds like you kind of just did basketball. Is that right?
Basketball, and then I guess track and field. I did provincials in javelin 1 year, and then in grade 12 I won provincial. So there was nowhere to go from there. I think there might have been a junior nationals or something, but I didn't have the money or time to even go, and I didn't have a coach. I didn't have nothing. I just picked up the shot put and threw it, and I was like, oh, cool. There's enough to win the provincials.
Shit. So what was the first weight room experience? Where'd you find that, and what got you in there?
I was probably around 19 years old, I think. Just once I graduated school, moved away, found a job in the oil field, and I just wanted to join a gym to look good, I guess, pretty much. Just bodybuilding stuff. There was no program and there's no rhyme or reason. Just lifted weights for fun, really. There was no reason for it, just to try and look good and feel a little bit better about myself.
So you didn't go to college for track and field or anything like that? You kind of skipped out on that stuff?
No, I didn't have any money, so I couldn't afford to go to college. I did have a partial scholarship to go to the University of Regina for shot put, but 18 years old, I didn't want to just do shot put. So
yeah,
I kind of wish I could have maybe pursued it. You never know, right? But I didn't. So
Cool.
Nice.
So then what was that transition like? Because how old are you now, Jeffers?
I'm 32.
32. So what was that transition like from like 19, just picking up weights for the first time? When was the first time you would say things started to get systemized, or you had a bit of maybe a coach or someone kind of leading you along the way? And how did that eventually lead to Strongman?
I guess I just kept going to the gym. And then I met my wife in, oh God, I can't remember what year. We got married in 2017. And at the time, in January of that year, I was like 300 pounds, but fat, like out of shape, 300 pounds. So I'm like, I want to look good. So I cut down to 230 in September of the same year, just by doing bodybuilding, cleaning up my diet. And that was in 2017. And then in 2018 on Facebook, there was a strongman competition in Saskatoon. And I'm like, okay, well, I think I'm strong, but I had no idea what I was doing. Didn't know what the events were, didn't know what the implements were. Signed up, and I just kind of caught the bug from that moment.
Just not knowing anything and showing up. Had you known of the sport prior to seeing that Facebook post?
I don't remember. I don't recall watching it on TV or anything. I'm sure maybe at one point I would have, but like I didn't know anyone in the sport. I didn't know it was even a thing in my province. So I want to say no, I don't think I did.
Okay. So you kind of just saw this as like a bit of a challenge, like, oh, I could maybe do this.
Yeah, 100%. I just signed up. I thought I'm strong. And like I said, with brothers, there was always a competition of like, how many pails of oats can you carry? Oh, I can carry 2 a hand. Well, I'm going to do 3. Or there's always a competition. So then I saw that. I'm like, okay, well, it's only a couple hours away from me. And I signed up, and I don't regret it.
Did you train any of the events beforehand? Did you go to the gym? How did you train for that?
At the time, I was just training at a YMCA. They had a nice like weight room, but like, well, of course, no implements. So just deadlift is really all I trained. And I think at the time, my max deadlift was 405 or 455 with like double overhand, strapped, no idea what I was doing, no technique, nothing.
And did you have a coach for this at all, or you just kind of freestyled it?
No, I just freestyled it. I actually didn't get a coach until I think just over 2 years ago, 2.5 years now I've been with Terry. So before that, I had no coach, nothing. You've
been training strongman almost this whole time until the last few years where you really picked up performance coaches.
Yeah, I did everything myself. I won Canadian Amateur Nationals in 2021 by myself. And then at that time, I qualified for the Arnold's Amateur.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I did well there. I made the finals, but then I was like, okay, I think now is the time to get a coach, get some.
Is that when you beat him?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That's the one time I did where I made the finals. Yeah. But
yeah. And then, okay, so you figured at that point, all right, I'm getting pretty far, but maybe you want some structure with someone who's proven their worth as a coach, and you hired Terry.
Yeah.
And then since then, you've gotten much better, right?
I have, like, since I've been with him.
And you coach Terry Rady, for those that might not know.
Yeah, coaches Terry Rady. And the reason I went with him is because my training partners, Melissa Peacock and Isaac Mays, have both been with him, and they both had really good success in the sport.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of an easy fit. I met him at the Arnold that year. And we've done pretty consistently, and we just keep getting better. So there's no sense change anything that's not broken. So I'm pretty happy.
So it sounds like in just about, if I'm understanding correctly, about 4-ish years, 5-ish years, you've doubled your deadlift.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You pulled 9 or
905 with a suit is my max pull as of December last year. Yeah.
Jesus.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah, I was like almost at one point like at least 100 pounds a year. So I'm like, okay, well, let's just keep that up, and soon I'll be
just 2 more years. Just 2 more years, and you're in the money.
Yeah. That's great. You have any questions related to that?
Yeah. No. When did you start competing on JF circuit? Because I know that's a separate thing from Strongman Corp up there.
Yeah. So, at the time when I won Amateur Nationals, it was actually called CASA, which was the federation before Strongman Corp. Mm-hmm. And then in 2021 is when I won Amateur Nationals, which got me my pro status through the circuit. So that's the following year, 2022, is when I would have joined JF circuit. I don't think I competed with him before because there's really not that many circuit shows in Western Canada. It's mostly an East Coast or Quebec-based federation. There's other federations on this side of Canada that's not really tied with JF circuit, but they do run pro-am shows, pro-am weights. But 2022 is when I started working or competing with JF.
Are you the only Canadian pro who isn't coached by JF?
Almost, yeah. There's a lot of good guys that are signing up with them, and they're making good improvements. So, but yeah, I'm not with them.
That's so funny, man. Well, that's great. And since you've joined his circuit, you've done pretty well. I know you've podiumed at a number of shows. I think as of right now, you are Western Canada's strongest man, hilariously over Tristan Hoth, who's the 5th strongest man in the world.
Yeah. Right. Last year, I won. There was 2 circuit shows in Western Canada. Colton Sloan hosted one himself. That's it was called Farm Strong Classic. They had Simone Pratt, who is now Canada's strongest man. He was competing there. Gabe and Fred Rayum, the strongest twins in the world, and then Tristan Hoth and myself. So some very good high level guys in the sport, and I beat them there. So that was my first circuit show win, and then Westerns was also a circuit show last year.
And that ties in really well to our next question. Can you, because this is exactly why I want people to watch this show and to understand how good guys like you are, even though they've never heard of you. How many World Strongest Man competitors or Arnold competitors or Rogue Invitational competitors have you beaten in the last 2 years in contest?
I'd have to sit down and think, but it's a handful now.
By my count, it's at least 6. You've beaten 6, I think.
Yeah, I'd really have to sit down and think and count, but there's definitely a few.
You beat both the Rayums.
Yep.
Yep.
Have you ever beaten Wes in contest?
Yeah.
No, he's one guy that I'm 1 point away or half a point away. Earlier this year, he beat me by half a point, but like very, very close.
Simone Pratt, you've beaten Hoth. Have you ever beaten Maxime?
No, not in a whole competition. No.
So basically, there's only 2 pros that you haven't beat who are world competitors in Canada. You've beaten everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and most people would never know that. And that's incredible. Like you a guy like you can handle yourself totally fine at a world level show.
Yeah. I believe so. I like to think that I'm sure every athlete could say that if they had the right set of events.
Because you've done it.
No, but like if you had the right set of events and a little bit of luck, and I'm pretty sure I could be competitive at a show like that. Or like you said, you look at guys like Tristan who got that shot and he went with it, and now he's the 5th strongest man in the world. And I actually ran into him the other day at the gym in Calgary, and I went up to him and I said, "Oh, if it isn't the 2nd strongest man in Western Canada."
And that's true. That's
very yeah, and I think that's the cool thing. It's the cool thing and kind of the shame of the JF circuit is you have guys, that nobody's heard of. You have guys that everyone's heard of competing multiple times a year at shows that mostly no one pays attention to. And that's kind of a bummer because it's just all of your best sales pitch points with promoters are in those contests. Yeah. And it's like whether they're either put on Canadian TV in French or there's not a good stream or there's nothing, but these are they're the world-class shows. Yeah. And there's some of the best dudes in the world just banging it out. It's in a show in Western Canada.
Yeah, I think there might be a film crew coming to Western Canada's Strongest Man this year. I'm not sure if it's like the East Coast is the RDS, which I think is like the sister company of ESPN or TSN, I believe. So I think we might have something there this year for Westerns, which would be
you
huge.
Better beat Hope. You better beat him.
Well, he's not competing because if you compete at Worlds, you get an automatic bye to CSM the following year. So him and Wes and Simone get an automatic bye to CSM this year.
Fair enough.
Okay. Which you'll be competing at this year as well.
Assuming I qualify, I need a podium at Westerns in order to qualify, but I feel pretty confident about that.
Is Colton Sloan competing?
Yes.
Then you'll be fine. I'm just joking. That's great, man. Okay, so for you then, how does this then tie into the rest of your calendar year? And I guess what are some of your goals in relation to these contests? Because ultimately, I'd imagine you're kind of hoping for that one shot that someone like Lucas got, for example, after winning Americas.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of tough, especially up in Canada. Like we are known to compete a lot, and I've already started my season in February. I did a show. Sam and Max hosted a Magnus qualifier. That West beat me by half a point. But then we compete all the way till December. I'll do OSG again. So first and foremost, my next goal is to defend my title as Western Canada's strongest man. Punch that ticket to CSM again. But before that, I have North America's strongest man. That Lucas will be there, right? The best guys in North America are going to be there. So haven't been putting much prep into that just because I've been, excuse me, focusing on Westerns. But there's some carryover, and then shortly at like the week after that, I have my provincial Saskatchewan strongest man, which is honestly like a training day. But then 3 weeks after that is the Shaw Classic Open, where I qualified.
Bro, what are you doing?
I qualified for that by being top 10 last year. Yep. So that one I really have high hopes for that one. They're good events for me. There's only kind of one weakness for me in that whole show, and it is in the finals. But I'm going to hammer it as hard as I can, and then
what would that be? Yes, would that be
yeah. It's doable for weights or for reps. I know the best guys are going to get a lot of reps, and I'm not going to get so much. But with there being all the other events in the finals, I feel very good about it. I'm not sure I was going to rescore the points after the cut. I'm not sure, but I feel pretty good about the other events anyways.
Yeah.
So the goal for that one, I mean, is to try and win it. I'd be happy if I podium, but the goal is to win it because I want to get to the next level. And then the week after that, or whatever, 5 days after that, is Canada's strongest man.
Jesus.
So you're going to get guys like me, Wes, Tristan, Simone, Colton, Fred that are doing both either the strongest man on earth or the Shaw Classic, and then doing CSM. So it's a rough.
CSM is going to be everyone at CSM is going to be held together with duct tape.
Yeah, but this year I don't know why it's only 1 day, 6 events.
That's probably why.
It's like the first time that I can think of that hasn't been either 2 or 3 days, 8 or 10 events. So they're actually pretty good events for me. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
Sure.
How do you feel about North America's strongest man and where it could potentially go?
Well, it's my first time there, so I want to experience it. I have training partners who used to compete in there way back in the day. Brad Provic was his name. He's a good old guy from Saskatchewan who went there with, I think, Brian and Thor, and I forget all the other good guys. They used to call it Warwick, which I think was the Arnold Canadian qualifier.
Yep.
So I think Warwick was considered North America's, or I'm not sure how exactly it worked out, but the talent that are there for some of the guys that maybe aren't so well known, like myself or say Joey Lavalley, or like Jasper Haney. I'm not aware of him, but like obviously he did well at the Rainier, and then the guys that everyone knows like Maxime and now Lucas and Kevin Ferris, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be awesome to see guys duke it out for North America's strongest man, and I can't wait. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think it's in this interesting spot with that whole roster. I think it's a really important show to most of the guys for all different reasons. It's like the lesser known guys. It's like, how many of those bigger names can I just chip away at and say I beat them? And then there's guys like Maxime and Kevin and Spencer that don't have a ton of huge invites this year. It's like, I need to prove why I'm back on the circuit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then even like Crowder. Crowder has, he has some cool stuff lined up, but nothing after Giants Live. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these guys, it's how many of these guys on this elite list can I get ahead of to improve my sales pitch of why I should go to things like Rogue Invitational and shit like that. Like it's going to be a big show, and 16 dudes. It's going to be a dogfight too. Like
100%. It's going to be, everyone has some weaknesses here or there and some strengths. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to start prepping for that after Westerns.
You're doing these awesome 2-week preps between your contests.
That's enough to peak.
and that is so. I feel like
I get load a stone to like 68 inches or something. I'll be fine.
Yeah,
literally,
dude.
68 inches.
Yeah, we have a Bartos stone stand at our gym set up to 68 right now.
Yeah,
and it haunts me. It's so high.
And I feel like the Canadian pro circuit does a really good job of developing these aggressively well-rounded athletes. But then at the same time, because there's so many shows and you guys refuse to say no, most of you don't really peak for anything.
No, 100%. I talked to Wes about that actually, and like he said, for CSM, we're not really going to be. There's going to be some guys that are going to be very well peaked, very well rested and recovered, and like I said, some guys that are coming off of one of the heaviest shows in the world, 5 days before, 6 days before. So, yeah, there is some times I wish, and that's on me. I can obviously say no, but it's hard to turn down opportunities. I just like competing, but yes, not being able to peak properly for a show is kind of the downfall for me for the past year, I'd say. I told myself I was going to compete less, but it doesn't seem like I am. But for the tail end of my year, my 100% focus, there's nothing that's going to get in the way is OSG. That is I'm putting all my eggs into that basket for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Being able to peak for that.
CSM to OSG is wide open, and it's just OSG.
100%. Yeah. The end of August till December will just only be OSG, no matter unless if something else like a Giants Live comes up. But
sure. Curiosity, this last year, is that kind of how it went too? Nothing between CSM and OSG?
Yeah, nothing.
You did pretty damn good at OSG.
Yeah, I did.
Peaking school.
Weird, huh?
Yeah, I should do it more.
Yeah.
You know, he gets a bit of slack for the way that we kind of go about peaking for shows, in that like we do 2 or 3 a year at most, and we do these long builds into the show, and every time you've gone to a show, you've improved. But like, you know, for example, like funny enough, you've turned down Worlds, which most people thought he was a madman for. And other people don't know you were the other reserve for Worlds.
Yeah.
Yes.
How did that come about?
Yeah, I was just on the couch one day, and then I got a message from Colin Bryce asking me if I was interested in being a reserve for Worlds.
Explode.
Like, well, yeah, because I was like, holy shit. I messaged, yes. He's like, is this the right James Jeffers? I said, 100%. I'm willing to go get my medicals. Like, let's go. And then he didn't reply to me at night. Like, he didn't answer me back till the next day. No answer. I'm like, okay, I know they're like 7 hours ahead, but okay, maybe I'll just message Darren. I'm like, hey, Darren, like Colin sent me this message, and he's like, yeah, well, we're looking to make you a non-traveling reserve, just because at that point 2 people already dropped out. So I'm like, I'd be willing to go. So yeah, it was like 2 days of me just like my heart beating out of my chest. I like text my boss. I'm like, hey, I need this time off like right now. And he's like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I'm like, I had everything good to go. And not unfortunately, because you don't want someone to get hurt, but like maybe like stub a big toe or something, or like miss a flight.
Miss a flight.
Yeah. At least I'm on the radar. You know, that was from my 5th place finish at OSG last year, because Austin was 4th, or Foytu was 4th. So then I was the next guy in line, I guess.
I mean, Bobby made it 15 seconds into the show.
Yeah, I know.
His foot. It was literally his foot.
His foot.
It was his foot.
Yeah, but that's been a recurring thing. It's crazy how it all pans out. Like,
it is, and like you look at Tristan, where like we're good buddies, me and Tristan, and he didn't even get he didn't get much of a prep, honestly, and he got 5th. So imagine if a guy could have got a proper prep, and that's what some of us need, is just that one opportunity to showcase what we're capable of, and the rest is history. Tristan's going to Giants Live next month.
So you've deemed for yourself the most important show isn't North America's or Canadian Strongest Man, Canada Strongest Man. It's OSG for you this year.
For this year, 100%. Everyone is fighting for that title of Canada Strongest Man, and of course I want it. It just, unfortunately, last year Simone Pratt won it, and nothing came of it. No, I'm not sure if that's because he doesn't compete outside of Canada, or he hasn't before. So, you know, maybe guys have to pay their dues, and and go to those shows. And so I do want the title. It's not about the money. It's not about the trophy or whatever. It's bragging rights of saying that you're the strongest man in your country. So I do want that, but I know in order to get to the next level, no questions asked, I need to podium at OSG this year.
Yeah, it seems like the safest bet just to get through that, because everyone's trying to shove through the same funnel, and it's the only guaranteed way through. I mean, I don't even know if the Arnold is going to be a guaranteed pathway.
The Arnold Amateur is no longer a guaranteed pathway anymore.
That's what I heard. So,
I know Guardione is staying hopeful, and I'm sure he's contacted people like Jan, but who knows if he gets in. I hope he does. I hope they honor it, because I think he is good enough for the next level, but those auto invite opportunities are becoming few and far between, I think.
It's interesting how the sport has gone from everything you have to qualify to basically everything's an invite. Almost everything.
Almost,
So for you then, how do you see the rest of this year shaping up? Let's say the next 2 years, like what are your career goals? How do you see it shaping up ideally? And what do you want to do to obviously try to make that happen?
Well, my biggest goal is to be at World's Strongest Man. And if you would have told me last year that I would have even maybe been a reserve or a potential reserve, I would have thought you're crazy, because I never thought I would be able to be that strong or that good to get there. But you just keep putting in the work and be consistent and let the results speak for themselves. The sky's the limit on what you can do. So 100%, I think that if I have a good proper prep for OSG this year, I believe I can improve on my placing and podium. And then whether that is an actual Worlds invite or a Giants Live invite, either way, I think I'd be ready. I know I'll be ready by that time next year. So definitely at Worlds, and then for sure Giants Live. I think I do very well in those kind of shows, that environment. They're very fast paced, and depending, JF Circuit is kind of not as fast paced as Giants Live, but there is other federations on this side of Canada that are very like Giants Live. Like you just did like a 60,000 pound truck pull, you got 10 minutes before you're doing log press. So like, let's go. And I think I do well in that kind of environment. Yeah. So Giants Live, and then, well, you never know, Arnold's or Rogue Invitational, very select few or invites only, but you just keep putting in the results, podium at CSM, North Americans, OSG, and then I think your foot's in the door once you show yourself.
Sure. So I guess, I mean, we follow your training all the time and talk shit and do all that, but not everybody knows. So what are some of your best competition maxes or recent training maxes, and where do you see biggest holes?
Well, right now, my biggest deadlift is a suited 905 deadlift. That's just a random pull after OSG. Last year I was still feeling good, just set it, and I kind of regret not going heavier because I think I could have, but why risk an injury just for nothing, right? I recently was prepping for North Dakota Strongest Man, where I came down and won some of that good old American money two times in a row now. And they had a max stone, so they had up to a 470-pound stone, but you had to take every attempt, and it started at like 230 pounds. So it was like, man, 14 reps in or something, and it was tiring. So I didn't get that in competition, but in training, our heaviest stone is a 440 that I literally duct taped two 25-pound plates on, and I loaded a 490 stone. So that's the heaviest stone that is in our province. I see Colton has a 500-pound stone that Tristan is boring right now for Strongest Man on Earth. So I'd like to go give that a crack because I think I could load it. Mm-hmm. My overhead pressing is a big weakness of mine, which again, if I didn't have that, I don't have that foundation of strength building in my younger years. So I can overhead press more than I can bench press. It's sad, but it's true.
That's a good thing as far as I'm concerned.
It is. Like, I know if I just keep building up my triceps and my shoulders, like my max log is 385. I'm hoping to hit 400 at North Americans. Not sure exactly on what the jumps will be, whether it's.
Oh, you want to tell them? Yeah. They're hilarious jumps.
So last year in the rules, he goes, we'll start at 365, and he says, "I don't think we need 385. We'll go straight to 400." It's like, okay, JF.
Yeah, I might take the second jump.
Oh, there isn't one.
There isn't one.
Well, I hope there is one this year, but I doubt it.
Yeah, he skipped 385 last year.
I'll let you ask for that.
Yeah. I'm too scared to ask him.
At our gym, we actually do have like a 10-inch log with a 2-inch handle, so it's like an exact replica of what they do use out there. Because there's a couple guys that train at our gym who have been to Worlds once before, Scott Cummins, and he's won Westerns like 9 times. So he was always going out east to compete. So they made that log to replicate it.
Yeah,
So
try to make the same thing.
No.
it is nice to have.
Yeah, that log sucks.
Yeah,
So it's shockingly hard log. But okay, and then you don't mention it at all.
Is a weakness for sure. The overhead is a weakness of mine. It's slowly coming. I'm not hitting some of the numbers that you're hitting for sure, but I mean, we all start somewhere, right?
Yeah. Well, I think you failed to mention too that I don't know. There's probably 10 people on the planet that can beat you in throwing and grip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's one interesting event this year is the max wheelbarrow at North Americans, because you get guys like Wes and Max, and even Joey's got good grip. Myself, Tristan has got like a ridiculous grip, one of the best in the world. And then you got Kevin Ferris, and then I know Bryce has ridiculous grip too. So it's going to be interesting to see whose shoulder blades are going to stay intact. Really, it's not going to be grip. It's going to be like your collarbone is going to break.
Yeah, I mean, allegedly, they were saying that Thor got it up over 1,000 in hand and finished it. Also, I was on Nick Best's podcast. He was like, "Yeah, we did like 1,100 in hand." I'm like, "No, the fuck you didn't." No, you didn't, Nick. There might have been 1,100 pounds of weight on the thing, but it wasn't 1,100 in hand. No, you didn't.
Yeah, I've never used that implement, so it's gonna be a learning curve on the day. Really
wild, man.
There's not much to learn. It's kind of straightforward on that one. Honestly, it's nice. It's a nice grip implement.
Yeah, it's a super cool thing. It didn't really tear anyone's hands up either.
No.
It's just when your hands fail because it's heavy.
Power stairs is a good event for me too, but you know that.
Yeah. You had to say it like that.
Little dagger.
Yeah.
But they're at North Americans in the medley, and then it's also at Shaw. So I think that'll be a good time for me to showcase how good I am in that event.
Pick up some points in that last event in both shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is nice. JF made a lot of the events overlap for the Shaw. I think because those, I mean, being 3 weeks apart and a lot of the dudes are overlapping, whether it's amateur or pro.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
And I think too, for those that might not know, watching this, you may not know, understand, like both you and Jeffers have placed 5th at OSG. And then the following year, you were able to win your America's title, take 2nd at North America's, get an invite to Arnold. So like you two are quite comparable in talent and in ability. And that's the whole point of this show, is kind of showcase that like there are guys out there that you don't know about who live in weird places that sound like vagina that are strong as hell.
Yeah. And there's like 3 or 4 events at North America's that you're going to kick the shit out of me in.
Yeah.
And I'm just banking on the other ones.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice to showcase, like you said, the little underdogs, the dark horses, the underdogs that people don't know about. So you just got to prove it. You just got to show up and not make mistakes, and that's what I thrive on.
Sure.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, you planted the idea in our head prior to filming, but I think we will be there talking shit to you at Westerns.
Yeah, we're gonna come on up and talk shit in the crowd.
It's only like a 4-hour drive up to the island from Tacoma area, so I think we're going to do that. I don't know. You got any closing thoughts? I think.
No, is there anything you want to share with those that might be viewing? Maybe it's a promoter or something that you want to share with the fans, or just kind of get people to know about the strongman scene as a whole.
Well, I just love the progression of the sport. It's growing across Canada for sure. The more people that we can get involved, like I always try and help out at an amateur show anytime I can. It sounds silly, but people do look up to us, or me, or people just being there and like watching kids come up and ask for an autograph. Like that's what it's about for me. I love I can't really give back to the community as much as others do, like whether that's hosting shows or competitions, or I just don't have the equipment to do that. But I would love to eventually one day do that. Every time I win a little bit of money, I'll buy an implement. It doesn't go to anything else but back into the sport. So I bought myself a Rogue log and a yoke this year from winning. So it's always about being a little bit better, trying to build my. I don't have a garage, so I train outside in a mall parking lot. But I just do what I can. And I appreciate you having the time for me to come on after the technical difficulties of my wife not figuring it out.
It's blaming Keely.
It was her fault.
Yeah, it was her. Okay.
It's her computer. She should have had it figured out by.
No, and like I said, I appreciate you doing this because you never know what can come out of this, whether it's a promoter looking and just hearing our names. If you maybe plant that seed, and then at whatever North Americans a guy puts out, and then who knows what can come from there, right? You never know. You can never count your blessings, but you never know what can happen. So.
Yeah, it's like, dude, one clip can make the difference. Like, I know I got the ASM win, but Jan Todd was like, it was just the one clip of me doing natural stones. And she's like, I really like natural stones, and you did really well in that event, so I gave you an invite to the Arnold UK. I was like, okay.
Okay. I mean, I won my country's national title, but okay.
Yeah.
It's just, you never know what's going to do it. Well, cool, man. This has been fun. We'll keep talking shit on Instagram and hopefully soon in person. Yeah. Oh, where can people follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram at james.jeffers strongman, or we do have a YouTube channel. I think it's just James Jeffers. I think, she runs it. So
and then hers is Power on the Plane Media.
Power on the Plains Media. Yeah, she does video packages for athletes or promoters. So if you're looking for anyone to put any kind of package together, she's always at my competitions anyway. So she's filming content, making us all look good, and just
she's the loudest one. When she's at a show.
You can, yeah. There's a clip I have that I was doing the axle at the front stage Arnold, and it was dead sound, and she just dropped the biggest F-bomb, and I heard her that time. So she's there cheering us on, and yeah, we just love the sport, and we'll just keep competing. We just keep showing up, and that's all we can do.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Yeah, we'll tag your YouTube and hers when we get this up. I just got to get Braden to edit, and we'll be good to go. So
thanks
you, buddy. And
thanks, Alex.
again, see you, buddy.